Hey everyone, this is my final submission for the Enactus class, obviously a video submission. So part one, my SMART goal analysis. Exactly what was your SMART goal and what have you accomplished? It started off, I wanted to complete a course it's a Udemy course about coding, specifically learning the Dart language with the Flutter environment, which is really cool because it allows you to create Android apps and iOS apps all within one code base. Um, so you don't have to learn two different languages and stuff like that. So it's really cool. But that kind of became too large. So I switched the goal to just finishing the expense app. I think there was like 6 apps that the course covered that you build along with it, but I only want to do the first 2 by April 10th. I first looked at it and was like, okay, 60 hours, I can get that done by the end of the course, but then I realized like coding along with it takes a lot longer than the actual video time, so I just shortened it to the first 2 apps, which I'll show you later. What was the most significant reason for completing your SMART goal? I did end up completing the second goal I made of completing those 2 apps, and the reason I wanted to do that was I'd like to eventually get a job somewhere in Silicon Valley for like Google or Twitter or something, and I just thought it would be a really important skill to have and something good to put on my resume just so I could start getting internships this fall. And kind of the second reason is I think coding is just a huge tool to have, a big asset for an entrepreneur, software and whatnot. If you can make a really good software product, then you can make a really good business, I think. Coding is definitely a super useful skill for entrepreneurship, which those are the 2 goals that I decided to do for it. What was something new that I learned while working on my SMART goal? So I basically everything I learned was new. Like I learned a ton of stuff. I'd never worked in this language or environment before. I've never developed an app before. So I learned a ton of stuff. Basically, to sum it up, I just learned how to create a really nice app for iOS and Android. It'll work on both. And the cool thing is it'll look native on both iOS apps and Android apps. They kind of look a little bit different, just with some buttons and stuff like that. So the really cool thing is with one code base, you can publish 2 different apps that look and feel like they're meant to be on the device, which is really interesting. What's something that helped me move forward with my SMART goal? I think setting specific times that I would work on it outside of class. So I would say like on Friday I'll put in an hour, on Saturday I'll put in 2 hours. That was really helpful for me. And second of all, the course was really hard. There was a lot of stuff I couldn't keep up with. So I decided to take it back to basics a little bit and just learn kind of like some programming fundamentals when I got a little bit confused. So that helped me a ton as well. What do you think you could have done better? I think maybe I could have looked at the documentation online for this language and environment, just kind of showing you what everything does and whatnot. Just studying that a little bit more would have helped out for me to become more familiar with the app, because it's tricky stuff. It's not easy. So I think just looking at the official documentation online for it would have helped out a lot. What money activity did you accomplish? So since this was more of a like personal development goal, my money activity wasn't directly related to it. But for that, I just went to Ross and got some stuff like a pair of shoes and like a little bit of other stuff, and just flipped it on Facebook Marketplace. I think I made like $40 or something like that. I hope that counts for the money activity. I was a little bit confused for that, but what are your next steps with your SMART goal? It's like I said before, I think I'm going to go back to the official documentation of the Flutter and Dart language online. Google has a really nice website for this where you can go in and kind of figure out what the code does and how to use it better. They even have tutorials to make apps there, so that'll be my next step for my SMART goal. And in terms of like why I did the SMART goal of getting an internship, I guess I'll touch on that a little bit. Like, I want to do more programming projects this summer. I guess it's nice that we're all home now. I have a lot more time to do that. So I'd hope to have this plus like 2 or 3 other projects I can have by September that I can put on a resume and get a internship at Twitter or something like that. So SMART goal documentation, I'll take you to the Flutter course. This is that course. You can see up here I got like maybe a third of the way through. There's a ton of freaking videos. And it was really cool. I don't know, I'll play one to show you. This is his intro. So that's his overview, and then I'll just show a little bit of coding. Let's see. Okay, he says it's dynamically. Okay, so this kind of shows like where you would just go in, and so I would watch this. I would watch it on my phone. I'd put it right on my computer, and then I'd have this open up on my computer so I could follow along. So this is the course I did. It's like a super highly rated course. It's got like 5 stars, like 4,000 reviews, so I thought it was good. But anyways, this is the cool stuff that I want to get into. So the first app that I made, it was just a little, like a quiz app just to get familiar with the basics. Here's the main file, show you all that code. This is where kind of the magic happens in Flutter, but then here's what we call widgets. So here's my answer widget, here's my question widget, my quiz widget, and the results widget. So what all these are doing is, like the quiz is creating buttons, the result is calculating your scores and stuff, answers, that's kind of storing all your answers, question, same thing, and then main is where you put it all together. You put all those widgets together and that's where it starts to run. So I'll show you, I have a little emulator here on my computer, an Android emulator. So this is just the basic quiz app. You just go in, what's your favorite color, black, what's your favorite animal, rabbit, what's your favorite ice cream flavor, vanilla, and then it calculates your character basically based on what you chose. So I think if I do like white, rabbit, and like pumpkin, you are awesome and innocent, and then you can restart the quiz. So it's super simple. That's not really the one I want to show. This one's super cool though, this other one. This is an expense app, and it just helps with budgeting and stuff like that. Here's the main file. As you can see, it's a whole lot longer. And then we got all these widgets here, transaction lists, how to make a new transaction. You got a widget for the chart. Then you got a widget for the bars on the chart, which I'll show you. So this is really cool. I'll try and find, let's see, chart. Let's see here. I'm trying to find where I can show an example of one code base, but also 2 different sets of stuff. So up here, we're importing this package called the Cupertino.dart. That's kind of iOS's style of stuff. And then we're importing material.dart. That's more of Android stuff. And like I said, that just kind of helps with building buttons and whatnot to make it feel like no matter what kind of operating system you have on your phone, it's going to feel like it's meant to be there. So I'll go ahead and run this program on my emulator here. It takes a minute to launch. Anyways, oh yeah, so here we go. So here it says platform is iOS, then it's going to return the Cupertino stuff, and if it's not iOS, then it's going to do this material type of stuff, and that's just kind of scattered throughout the program. And that's basically the really cool thing about Dart, is that you can make two different program, or one program for two different things. So here's the expense app. There's a little chart here, and this shows you what your expenses are. So I can go in here, I can type shoes, I can go in here and type $80, and then I can choose the date that I bought it. I'll just say it was today, and then I add the transaction, and it shows up on this bar here. So if I do another one, let's say I just bought some food, let's say that was $50, and that was 2 days or 3 days ago. Okay, I add it, then it adds it to this chart up here, and it kind of calculates for the week how much you spent, and it'll show on these bars how much to. You can rotate it, which is cool. That's one of the things I learned how to. There's kind of a problem with phone development with the landscape and portrait mode, so you have to be a bit creative. So it can either show you the list or it can show you the chart, which I think is pretty cool. You can go in, you can delete your transactions. So yeah, this is the transaction or expense app that I made, which I was pretty proud of. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be, but it was definitely worth it. It was super cool. Even learning how to get this emulator on my computer was tough. But yeah, number 3, money making activity documentation. So yeah, I already kind of mentioned about flipping that stuff from Ross just on Facebook Marketplace. So I'll just include that with my video. Yeah, I hope this was a good kind of video to show what exactly I worked on this semester. It was definitely a lot of work. It was definitely hard, but it was worth it. I really hope I can use these skills in entrepreneurship. I have a couple app ideas I want to make or turn into a business. And also I hope I can use this as just kind of a good resume builder for hopefully getting an internship this fall. So yeah, thank you very much.